Hi, I'm Terry from Evie's. Thank you for ordering our cake lesson in a box. I'm going to show you on this video how to make the unicorn model. Okay, so in the cake lesson in a box, you will have a bag with white icing and a bag with coloured icing. You'll find a cut skewer and a cocktail stick. Additional to that, you will need a knife. It doesn't have to be this big. It can be a short kitchen knife, some spray of some description, oil spray, or some Trex, something to use on your hands to prevent sticking, and a small amount of water just for sticking everything together. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to show you how to divide your icing into the relevant proportions. So open this, take the cling film off, not as easy as it looks. There we go. And the first thing we're going to want to do is just knead this because it might be a bit cold and a bit hard. So what you're looking for, I know that's the problem. Do I need to start again? What you're looking for is something that's pliable and quite stretchy. Okay, so we're just going to not worry too much about all the lumps and bumps in it at the minute. We're going to roll it into a sausage. Yeah. Just to make sure that it's an even sized sausage. Now you can use this method to make any animal, and what we're actually going to do is to divide it in three. It doesn't matter if they're not exactly equal pieces. 1, 2, 3. That way you have your head, your body, and then we divide third piece into quarters, and this gives you 2 legs. Now if you have an animal that has appendages, ears, unicorn case, ears and a horn, then we can divide 1/4 into 2 to make the arms, and that will leave us a spare amount to do the ears. Now the best thing to do with your paste when you're not using it is actually to wrap it back in the cling film. I'm not going to do that for the purposes of this video because I'd be here all day. So we pop our bits to one side, so you've got head, arms and legs, and we're going to work with the body. So what you want to do is roll between your hands to get a very nice smooth ball. Have a look, you can see all the creases are coming out. Just apply a bit of pressure. It's quite a big ball. Okay, and then when we're happy it's all nice and smooth, you're just going to use the heel of your hand just to make it pointed at one end. So like a teardrop shape. Nice sharp point. Because what we want is a nice, happy, well-fed, round unicorn. Okay. So there's our unicorn body with its nice pointy neck. What you can then do, if you want a very cute unicorn, is find the middle and just give him a little belly button. That way you also know that's the front. Okay, we have a unicorn body. So the next thing we're actually going to do is start with his legs. So again, you're going to roll into a ball and get rid of all the creases, and that's using the heat in your hand. So let's have a look. Nice and smooth. And then you're going to change the direction and move one hand over the other to roll into a sausage. And you're just going to thin one end slightly. Okay, now unicorns obviously don't have fingers and toes, so you're going to just flatten the end to create the hoof, and just give him a little ankle. So just slightly thinner ankle and bring up his hoof. Then to attach it to the body, we want to reduce obviously the lump of paste. So we're just going to flatten the thigh part out. Take a tiny bit of water, not a lot at all, and just wet that. And then apply with a bit of pressure, just not too hard, just gently, because you don't want massive fingerprints in it. But how about that? That's one leg. And then you're just going to do exactly the same thing again for the other side. Now, this is for fun. It's to go on a cake. You're making it. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. So then roll into the sausage again. Get it about the same length, and you can check. There we are. It's about the same. So again, flatten off the hoof. And this is the nice thing about doing it this way and dividing it into 3. You know you're starting with the same amount of paste each time. So it's not going to be that different. Okay, flatten the end out again. Give it a little smooth. You don't want fingerprints in it. Just wipe the excess off on the back of your hand, not too much. There we are. And then exactly the same process, just apply again. Give it a little smooth. Make sure it's nice and stuck. And then you can position. Now, you can add a pinch for the knees. There you are. You can see that? Okay. So there we have bottom legs and a body. Now, I've provided a skewer to put you as a support through to hold your head on top. Now, depending how round or how long your body is, depends how long your skewer needs to be. So what you do is, without pushing down too hard, give it a twist until you reach the bottom. Now you can see that mine's too long. Now you have 2 choices. If you have a pair of wire cutters, clean wire cutters at home, which I do, then you want about 1 centimetre above. If you don't have wire cutters, you can use kitchen scissors. There we are. Let's lose the splinters. And cut that, or you can actually, it will snap. But what you need to do then with a pair of scissors is just tidy up and take away all those loose bits, because you don't want those in case anybody eats it. You know what children are like with icing. Okay, so there we have a body and some legs. Now, if you find that the paste starts to stick, this is where your spray oil comes in, or a bit of Trex. Just very small amount, and just wipe it onto your surface and then onto your hands and the stickiness. There's a barrier between you and the stickiness. So the next thing we're going to do is his arms. So take your paste again, give it a bit of a knead as it's been sat there. Make sure it's all nice and soft and pliable again. Okay, and then back into a ball. Nice and smooth. And then across again into an arm. Okay, so they're not as long as the legs because we took a small amount of the paste off. But we're going to give him, obviously he has 4 hooves. And then don't forget his wrist. Yeah. And you can square them off, you can animate them. This is the bit where you get to have fun and make it yours. And then exactly the same principle, pinch the end. Flatten it out. Tiny drop of water. Don't want it swimming because it will slide down, but just literally just moisten it. And then we come right up to the head here, behind the neck, and pop it on with a little bit of pressure. Same again. And across to make, oh, excuse me, sausage. Pinch the hoof. wrist. Yeah, and again, it doesn't matter if they're different. It doesn't matter if you want to make him have pretty shaped feet. And then we're going to pinch the end again. Just make it thin. Tiny drop of water. Oh, wrong side. Oh no, I can do that something. And again, pop it up. We're going to give this one a little bit of a bend and a bit of an elbow. But you can do it however you like. There we are. Okay, and then just gently smooth. Nobody's going to see the back because it's actually going to face you on the cake anyway. Just give him a little move because he's starting to stick. Make sure you're happy with your arm positioning. His shape, and you do all your shaping whilst it's still soft, because once it's been out a while it will start to set. Okay, so then we move on to the head. So again, just give it a knead. Make sure it's all nice and soft. That way when you roll it in your ball, it will leave a nice smooth finish rather than crispy cracking. Okay, so then back into a ball. Now these are more caricature animals. They're not meant to be realistic. They're meant to be a bit of fun on top of your cake. So the head is quite large. So we're going into a ball, nice and smooth. If you're struggling to get it smooth, just apply a little more pressure and keep going. The heat of your hands will eventually smooth it out. Okay, now I'm going to do a little egg shape for the horse's head or the unicorn's head. So this is our egg shape. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the palm of your hand like that. If you do it on the side or on the table, he'll get flat underneath, and we don't want that. So if you keep him cupped in the palm of your hand, he stays curved underneath. Okay, and then we're literally going to pinch in some eyes, eye holes, sockets, and then for his nose he has a nice little flat nose, obviously because he's a horse. So we're just literally pinching and shaping gently. Okay, and then we're going to grab our cocktail stick and we're going to put his nostrils in. So 1, 2, and then what we can do is just move it around and lift it up to give him a bit of character. Looks a bit like a dinosaur's face, doesn't it? Then we're going to take our knife, and we're not going to drag across the paste. What we're actually going to do is place the knife on one side and then just move it across. Now hopefully we've got a nice smiley faced unicorn there. Open his mouth a little bit, but you don't have to. I just think he happens to look cute. Okay, so if you're happy with your nose, that's fine. If not, go back and give it a little wiggle till you're happy. Okay, so then where you've put your fingers in whatever, you can just give him a gentle roll. And we'll just pop the eyes, smooth the nose out a little bit, narrow it back out where I've pinched it. Okay, so let's bring body, come on, back. And then we're going to sort of, in the largest part of the bump, we're just going to pop and use your fingers in the eye sockets. It's probably easier. And push it down until we've made contact with the body. Okay, so that's your head. Well, if you wanted, you can turn the head, obviously. You could have angled it up a little bit as you put it down. It's really down to you how you do it. But make sure he's nice and attached. And you can obviously give the head a little bit more shape if you want. So then we move on to our spare piece. This is going to be our ears and our unicorn horn. So we'll just soften that back up. And we're going to roll it again into a smooth ball. and then again into a sausage, just to be able to divide it up properly. So for the ears, take however much you want. You can have as big ears as you like, but the best way to do it is actually to take a piece and then divide it in two, and that way you should have a similar amount of icing for each ear. Okay, so again we're rolling back into a ball, and then we're going to roll into a pointed end. Okay, like that. So you have teardrop shape with a pointed end, and repeat that with the other one. And again, just using the heel of your hand, and you want them about the same size and shape. Okay, hands are getting a bit sticky. If that's the case, just use a clean cloth and take the excess icing off your hands, because it does get a bit sticky after a while. Okay, so, but make sure your hands are completely dry before you then try touching the paste, otherwise you will weld yourself to it. Okay, so what we're now going to do is at the bulbous end of your teardrop, just push it down and flatten it with your finger. Okay, then we're going to pick up one, just flatten it between the thumb and the finger a little bit, and then pinch the bottom, and that gives you your ear shape. So flatten it with your finger and your thumb, and then just pinch in, make it a bit flatter, pinch in, and you get that lovely pinched sort of look. Okay, now I'm going to pop the ears in here, so I'm going to make a little hole like that and like that, and then with your ear facing the right way, just going to pop that in there, and then you're going to take your cocktail stick again and push it into that hole. Now obviously it's an ear, it's meant to have a hole in, so that's not a problem. If you're finding it's not sticking particularly well, just take one end of your cocktail stick and wet the hole a bit, or you can even take a bit and just wet the surface, and then thin out your end again, pop it in, and then use the dry end of your cocktail stick again just to push the ear into the hole. Okay, and then obviously you can angle these at quirky angles, any which way you'd like to do. So then we're going to obviously missing the most important part of a unicorn, aren't we? So we'll divide that paste again. Oh, put the knife out of the way. Come on, little man. So again, we're going to roll into a ball and then into a sausage. Now, what we want is one very thin end as we come down. Okay, can you see that? Can just gently roll it on the board. It's not a problem if that's easier. Now, this is way more than we actually need for a unicorn horn, but what we're actually going to do, and it's a bit twiddly, so it might take a couple of goes, and if at first you don't get it, just squish it all back up and re-roll it. And you're literally, if you can see that, twisting it on itself, twisting it round and round to get that lovely spiral shape of a unicorn horn. And when you're big enough, you can just chop off the end. In fact, I might even take a bit more there. And then just very gently in your hand, give it a roll and make it all stick together. Okay. And then a drop of water just on the end. And where are you at, little one? And then you can pick your point that you'd like it. And again, the horn can be as long as you like, any angle you like, jaunty, whatever you like. If it is too long, it will try and lean forward. Okay, there we are. So that's the basic unicorn. Something missing. A unicorn, isn't he? He's a bit bland, a bit white, a bit boring. So what we're going to do now, let's take all this rubbish out of the way. There we go. just roll your excess white back into a ball and then open your colours. Now, the coloured icing can leave colour on your hands. So if you work with your lightest colour first, moving on, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. But if you find that the colour is transferring from one colour to another, just give your hands a wash. It'll be absolutely fine. My hands are always covered in food colouring. So let's unwrap each one. So we have yellow, red and blue. And we obviously have a little bit of white left. Now the black we're going to put to one side. That's for eyes. You don't want black in his mane, her mane, whether you're making a boy or a girl. Now obviously if you wanted, you can mix these colours. So at the moment you have a bit of white, a bit of blue, a bit of red and a bit of yellow. Now we know that blue and yellow make green. It's good practice with the little ones to work out what colours make what colours. So blue and yellow would give you a green. Blue and red would give you a sort of browny purple. Obviously white and red will make pink, and white and blue will make a pale blue, etc, etc. So it's up to you. You can play with this bit. I'm going to stick to these primary colours just for the ease of showing you how to do it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make sausages, basically. Just going to work in two halves for each one, mane and tail. So again, you go into your ball and you're rolling sausages like we did before, but with the pointy end. Okay, now you can cheat and you can roll two pointy ends in your sausage. It saves you doing it twice. So just give it a little roll. The palm of your hand stops you getting the indents and the fingerprints in it. And then literally, now you've got two pieces. Okay, and the same with the red. Mane and tail, obviously. We're working on the tail at the moment. So rolling into a sausage and pointing both ends. It's alive, that one. So we're going to even it out a little just with the palm of your hand. And as long as your board is clean and dry, or your table is clean and dry, it really shouldn't stick. It's good stuff, this paste. And then split it in the middle. And you have two more. Finally, the blue. Now, if you want, with your spare white, you can add white into the tail as well and the mane. If you want to use up all your paste and think, well, I don't need to keep it for anything else. So what I'm going to do is leave it separate though. I'm just using the colours on mine. But like I say, you can do anything at this point. Any colours, have a mix of the colours and see what you get. It's ideal time if you've got young children for them to learn about mixing primary colours and experimenting and playing with doing it. And then they get to eat the result too. So, and again, just split in half. So, now you've got all the nice colours together, so you can arrange them however you like, really. I'm going to pop something in between the yellows. I think that's fine. I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to push the ends together. Yeah, and make that a solid mush, basically, of all of it. And then I'm just going to grab and I'm just very gently going to twist all of the colours on themselves so that you've got a beautiful tail. Just going to take the excess off the end of there, and then I'm going to pinch that end and then bring the unicorn across gently, obviously, and I'm just going to pop that under his bottom and put it where I'd like it, which is pretty much like that. Okay, starting to slouch because I keep messing with him. That's okay, just stand him up a little. Okay, so now we have a unicorn tail. We're going to repeat the exact same process with the mane. If it does stick, just run a sharp knife underneath his bottom and move him to one side out of your way, or even work with him away from you. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. We won't need all of the colour this time, so I'm only going to roll a single-ended sausage, because what I'm actually going to do is make multiple sizes. Same with the red. If it's going to take a little while between each colour, if you're working with children or you're not feeling overly confident, just have a Tupperware tub handy or a Ziploc bag handy and just pop your pieces of colour in that and seal it up. Prevents it from going hard and crusty. And always just give it a little knead before you start shaping it. Okay, there we are. So for the mane, I'm going to use shorter sections to start with. Okay, drop of water just around his horn, in front of his horn and down the back of his head. Okay, I'm going to take that and just roll the end a little just to stop it being a flat cut. Just make a little sausage on the end, and we're going to just pop the colours in individual sections. I think for the mane it's much easier to control than popping a whole large lump. Okay, you can give it a bit of a curl, give it a bit of life, and then you're doing exactly the same thing again, just with each end again, just rolling till you've got a sausage. It's the thickness and the length that you want, and this is where it all gets very individual. It really is down to you how you want to make it look. Oh, squashed that end. So I'm going to take a slightly longer one, because we're going to go down the back of the head with this one. So starting with the blue this time, just going to bring it up and around the ear. A little bit of life, and then I'm going to start tucking the ones down the back. If I turn that round, can you see? Keep moving his poor little legs. There we are. And we're just literally popping them next to each other as we go. Same again, just keep working off the same sausage paste, just thinning each end. Now if you want to go longer, you can this time. Obviously you can go longer, you can go thinner, you can twist two together. Like that. How about that? That looks rather nice, doesn't it? And then just press it down where you place some water, just to make contact, and then you're just literally now tucking in and filling the gaps as you want. Keep going until you've used all your paste, or you can stop when you're happy with it. So just do these last three. Twist the last three together just for speed, and all you're doing is exactly as we did for the tail. Leave the ends separate, however you feel you want to do it. There we are. So let's have a look at you, unicorn. You're all falling forward, aren't you? Because you're not in anything. There we go. Okay, so there's our unicorn with his tail and his mane. Now the last thing to use is the back. Now if you've got food colourings at home, you can do this by painting it. If you're lucky enough to have food colour pens, you can draw it. but for ease of what we're doing, I've included a little bit of black paste. Now, I've included way too much black paste, but this is the tiniest amount I wanted to give you in case it goes wrong. So we're going to take a tiny bit, roll a little sausage, cut it in half again. I don't think that was particularly even. And roll 2 tiny little balls. Whoop, they're alive there. Okay, now you can use your cocktail stick again just to wet where you're going to put them so that they stick, and you're literally just going to take it on your finger and pop it. Oh, I want the stick. There we are. Sticking to me instead of just wetting more. There we are, the stick. There we go. And the same again, I've just wet that tiny bit more there, and you're just going to take it and pop him on. There, give him a little squish. Well, there you are. There's your unicorn. I hope you have fun making him. As I say, you can adapt him to look any which way you like. Oh, I've lost an ear where I've leaned across him. There we are. And eventually he will dry out, so he can either be kept or he can be eaten if you remove the stick, obviously. Just tidying in the mane a little bit. You can use this tool for just about anything. Just press it in. And he'll adorn your cake beautifully. Thanks for watching.